good morning. I'll just hang on and see if anybody comes on to the live. I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do a live this morning, so I suspect we might not have very many people joining. But I've got my cup of coffee and I've got, well, not cake, but well, I don't know if you call it a biscuit. I've made custard creams. So I don't know if a custard cream is a particularly British biscuit. Hi, Kirsty. And when you make them, they look really different to the bought custard creams. So a bought custard cream is square and quite small and has like a creamy filling in the middle. Whereas these custard creams are huge and they have butter icing. Yeah, it's really a biscuit, Kirsty. Yeah. And the thing about them is you make them and then in my head I think, oh yeah, I've made loads. I've got like 2 trays full. This is great. And then you have to sandwich them together. So you end up with like half of what you thought. And I suppose you could share like one between 2 to make them go further, but no. So you put some custard powder in the biscuit mix and that's where they get their custardy flavour. So it tastes good. It's quite a light, soft biscuit. I suspect that if you leave them too long, they'll probably get quite soft or even softer with the icing going into them. A bit like, what are those ones? Oh, coffee kisses, they're called. And you make them in the same sort of way, but they're coffee flavour. But if you put the buttercream in the middle too far in advance of when you want to eat them, they make the biscuity bit go far too soft. I know, sharing biscuits, Kirsty, but actually some of my ones came out quite big, so I think they might have to get cut in half. Anyway, it was very, very easy. I just did an online search for custard creams and the recipe came up. So have a look because they're much nicer actually than the biscuits that you buy in a packet. So I'll just have a swig of my coffee. Yesterday I posted a post on my grid about something called procrastinating or procrastinate, which is this idea that you avoid doing things that you don't like to do and just knit instead. Or the other thing that often happens to me is I'm working on something and I get to a bit where it's just become a bit of a slog. And so instead of just carrying on with that, I decide to cast on something else. So I'm still knitting, but then I end up with lots of works in progress and nothing gets finished, which is fine. But if you want to finish the thing and there's something holding you back, then that is a bit annoying. So what I've been trying to do is to motivate myself to get bigger projects finished. And I've been taking part in Knit Sonic's bullet journaling course over the last kind of month or 6 weeks. And it's been very, very good. And Felix touches on something like this. And I've kind of run with it. And I've written a blog post that will be published either later today or tomorrow with some tips, 7 tips for helping you motivate yourself to get a bigger project finished. Because although we all love knitting, you know, there's no denying that sometimes you have to do the kind of this heft of knitting and it's not really that interesting, or it's just you feel like you're not getting anywhere. So let me show you. This is something that I talked about last week, that I've been knitting a lace weight shawl for a knitting magazine, and I've made a diagram to help me stay motivated. So I'm going to show you, but it's not actually like what the shawl looks like. It's just a sort of representation. So this is the diagram that I've made. So the shawl does have these stripes of colour, but it's not in this shape or anything. So what I did was I have coloured in a stripe each time I've done it. So at the top, I've just worked out what the colours will be. I haven't actually coloured in. So when I finish that stripe, I get to colour it in. I also get to tick it off. And when I'm working on it, I write the date so that I can see my progress and how long it's taking me. And then in the middle, I know it's maybe back to front for you. It's back to front for me. I have numbered the repeats that I had to do in the middle bit here and ticked them off when I've done them. So I had picked out colouring pencils that were the same colours as the colours for the shawl. And then, yeah, every time I get to do a repeat, I get to colour it in, and it's like a little reward, and I get to tick off a date. So that's really helping me, and it's very pleasing to see this fill up with colour, so I know that I am getting there. I'm making some progress, and it is, it's a really big shawl. It's 1,400 meters of lace weight yarn, so it's a big knit, and it really needed to be broken down into more manageable chunks like that. And I can now, when I look at this at a glance, I can see I've only got this bit left to do, and that's really nice. I'm nearly there now. And the other thing I've been doing is as I've been knitting, I've been using lockable stitch markers in my knitting to kind of mark the repeats or mark how many rows I've done, just as another visual reminder that I am actually making some progress. Because I think sometimes if you've just got to do all this knitting to finish something, and it's something that you really want to have and to wear or to use, you need, I certainly do need little motivators to keep myself going. So I will post something on my grid about that blog post, and you can go and have a look. There's a few other little tips for staying motivated when you're knitting a big project, and hopefully that is helping me to stay focused and not just cast on something else, a new project, because I don't need any more. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to show you was a sample that got returned to me this week in the post from Knit Now magazine. So this is my Skew Lines hat, which was in Knit Now, I think in November or December last year. So it's got this, I don't know how well you can see it, it's got these little welts. In fact, you can see up there that swatch. That's one of the swatches that I did to try out this idea. And then at the top, it's got some decreases on each side, and then it's joined together here. So I'm going to self-publish this pattern. Let me put this one on. It's quite a nice shape. When I self-publish it, I think what I'm going to do is make an option that you can have it like this, where it's a bit squared off, or another option where it's just straight up, so it's more like kind of a cat ear type thing. So that's the original one, and that was knitted in this Signet Superwash merino, which was really nice to work with. It's very soft, and it is, well, they call it a double knit, but it's 104 meters in 50 grams. Yeah, Kirsty, it would be great with pom-poms on. I'm going to make one for my daughter, and I suspect that's what she might request. She likes a pom-pom. And the other thing is, you can do it, I made another one with some leftover yarn. Actually, this was from my Amma sweater. So I used just the same main colour. I didn't use the contrast for the brim on this one, so it's a bit more subtle. And also you just need a tiny bit of the contrast then, because you're only using it in these little stripes of garter stitch. So that'll be, I think the pattern will have a few different options to make it customizable. And I've got this yarn I'm going to knit. So I'm going to knit, I think I'll probably get 2 more out of 2 skeins of double knit. So this is by Third Volt yarns. These 2. So this one is called Morta. It's lovely purples. It's got a bit of variegation in it. And then this one is called Rey, which I think is the character from Star Wars. I think it's named after her. So it's a sort of a muted, pale, pinky purple with little flecks. So I think I can make one, you know, using this purple as the main colour and this for the contrast, and then I'll swap them over for the other hat. Well, the other thing I was wondering about doing was doing mitts or mittens with the welt pattern on the top of the hand. I thought that might be quite cool, but they would need to be a bit smaller than this, so that would be too big for a hand. I'll have to have a play around, but I do quite fancy a pair of mitts with that on the top, because the other thing is it's really nice and warm. It traps the air, I think, the welts, and it makes the fabric a bit thicker. Oh, mittens would be lovely. Good, I'll get on it, I'll add it to my list. I wore this one a lot last winter and it was really cozy. So yeah, so that's the Skew Lines hat. Yes, as I say, it's on my list to self-publish it, but if you really wanted to get it now, it was in Knit Now magazine. I think, I can't remember if it was November or December, but I know that sometimes they have back copies on their website, or you can buy digital copies. So I'm quite desperate to wind these up actually, but I'm not gonna procrastinate. I'm going to carry on and finish my lace weight shawl before I'm allowed to do anything else, because I really need to get it finished and get it sent off. Right, I'm going to finish there and let you get on with the rest of your Thursday. It's lovely and sunny here today in Edinburgh, so I'm hoping to get out in the garden later on. But I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye!